Hi, I'm Stephen Schwartz, and I'd like to take a moment with you to talk about the Gold Standard course. This is unquestionably the finest course on remote viewing that has ever been assembled. I put it together, in fact, as a result of questions that I got from people for over a period of years asking me, how do you do remote viewing? What can you accomplish with it? What does it do to you as a person? What can you learn from it? And so I have assembled a collection of 10 DVDs and 5 CDs and a book, all of which taken together constitute quite literally a college course in remote viewing, and in fact at colleges in both the United States and in Canada. This course, the Gold Standard course, the DVDs, the CDs, and the book are in fact taught as a college course. When I started putting it together, the questions that I wanted to immediately address were to answer with correct information how all of this began and how it can be used and has been used. And so each of the DVDs is a presentation by the world's leading authority on that aspect of remote viewing. Many of these people are in fact the scientists who discovered these techniques or developed them, or who discovered the influences that affect performance that they are describing. The 10 DVDs, each about 45 minutes in length, will give you the entire intellectual knowledge that science has about remote viewing. The CDs, 4 of them give you experiences that will let you actually know, not just intellectually, but in your direct experience, what remote viewing is like and how it can be used. And a final CD gives you all of the forms and paperwork that you can use to actually do the same kind of experiments that we do in the laboratory. And the book, Opening to the Infinite, will give you even more information and will walk you through, as like a manual, exactly how to do these experiences so that you can become as proficient as the people that worked with me at the Mobius laboratories or the CIA military laboratory. The first disc is a presentation by Hal Puthoff. Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ started the SRI laboratory that was funded by the CIA and the military. Much of their work until recently was highly classified, and these presentations by Hal will give you the actual developments that took place at the SRI CIA laboratory and that modeled the Stargate program that was used in the military. Hal talks about how they began, the uses that they put remote viewing to, and you see in his presentation and in these other presentations rarely seen examples of the real remote viewing experiences and what they addressed. The second DVD is by Major Paul Smith, who was the U.S. Army Intelligence. It was with the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command and the Defense Intelligence Agency, and who was the chief coordinate theory instructor on CRV techniques in remote viewing. Paul is now the president of the International Remote Viewing Association, and he describes his experiences and the program in the Army that he took part in at Fort Meade. The third disc, the third DVD, is by myself, and it talks about my own laboratory, the Mobius laboratory, and what we did in archaeology and how we did it, how the Mobius consensus protocol developed that you can use yourself in practical applications remote viewing, the 4 teams that are involved, And again, there are a history of rare images that are not often seen. The fourth disc, by James Spottiswoode, talks about remote viewing in the biosphere. James is the scientist who discovered local sidereal time, an influence in training for remote viewing that tells you when it is optimal to do an experiment, to do an actual remote viewing session. He also describes the geomagnetic field influences that affect remote viewing performance. The fifth disc, by Skip Atwater, who is now at the Monroe Institute as their research director, talks about the development of remote viewing and the use that it has been put to involving the hemisync sound sequences developed by Robert Monroe. The sixth disc, by physicist Russell Targ, who was the co-founder of the SRI program, talks about from RV onwards. Russell gives you a context for thinking about remote viewing, its role, its place in physics, and its place in a number of spiritual paths. The seventh disc, by Dale Graff, who was the contract manager for the SRI-CIA program, talks about remote viewing and dreams. Dale has been studying the role of remote viewing in dreams and provides very specific techniques about how to have a remote viewing dream. The eighth disc is by Henry Reed, a visionary psychologist, and also by Edgar Evans Casey, the only living son of one of the greatest remote viewers in history, Edgar Casey. In his presentation, Henry gives you very specific techniques for working with dreaming and remote viewing so that you can begin to utilize this part of your consciousness to get specific answers to questions that trouble you. Edgar Evans talks about his father's remote viewing, and I think this may be the only time he has ever spoken of Edgar Casey's remarkable remote viewing abilities. The ninth disc, the ninth DVD, is a presentation by Ingo Swann. Ingo is an artist in New York and one of the greatest remote viewers we have ever seen. He coined the term remote viewing, and he discusses his 30 years of work as a remote viewer and the insights that he has derived from it. The 10th disc is myself, again, and it deals with the implications of remote viewing, the power that remote viewing confers on individuals, and how individuals and small groups can use this aspect of the self to change history in very specific ways. After the 10 DVDs, there are then 4 CDs. The first CD is called Before the Beginning, and it is an adaptation of the laboratory techniques that we developed, and it takes you back to the moment when you decided to be you, before you were incarnate, before you were in the body. You can talk to yourself at that moment. You can gain insight into what is the purpose of your life? Why are you here? What are you about? What should you be doing? The second CD is called Harmonic Healing, and it is a special technique adapted from both the remote viewing research and the therapeutic intention research, and it shows you, it literally walks you through and allows you to have the experience of stimulating your own immune system, bringing self-healing to your body so that you can enjoy more optimal health. The third CD is an experiment that I have been running since 1978 called 2050. in which you go forward in time to the year 2050 to see what the world is like. With all of the information and misinformation that fills so much of the popular airwaves and the internet about what's going to be coming in the future and what will happen in 2012 and what the world is going to be like, the 2050 experiment allows you to join with thousands of other people to collectively view the world as it exists in 2050. The fourth CD, called Remote Viewing, tells you exactly how to do remote viewings. It walks you through remote viewings. The first track is what is remote viewing. The second track is how to do a remote viewing, taking you through it step by step. The third track is about targets, how to select them, what are good targets, what are bad targets. The fourth one is how to do your sessions. How do you actually do a remote viewing session? The fifth track is about all the protocols that you can use, all the various techniques, both in terms of laboratory work and in terms of applied work. The sixth is about judging and analysis so that you can derive a deep understanding of your own accuracy when you do your sessions, and over time discover what things you are particularly good at, how reliable you are about certain things, how good you are at getting colors, for instance, or shapes, or things like that. The seventh track deals exclusively with feedback, why it is important, how to give it, what to avoid, when to give it. The eighth track deals with problems that arise in remote viewing and how to deal with them, what it is you can do to accomplish a more successful remote viewing session. The ninth track deals with meditation. Meditation, we have learned over the years, is the strongest predictor of being successful at remote viewing. People who meditate do better than people who don't. It's as simple as that. And the ninth track gives you a specific meditation technique particularly adapted for remote viewing and walks you through it. The 10th track deals with the location protocol, takes you through that experience. The 11th is an object protocol describing objects that are hidden from you by reason of space or time. The 12th track gives you the specifics and walks you through what's called the outbound protocol, that is, trying to locate somebody who is hidden from you by reason of space or time. The 13th track deals with intuitive diagnosis and allows you to actually do diagnosis that will help give you insight about yourself and others. The fifth CD has all of the forms, all of the paperwork, all the ways that you can, all the things that you need to record a remote viewing session. So you have 10 DVDs, you have 5 CDs, and then you have the Opening to the Infinite book. And this is the fourth book I've written on this subject, and it was the book that I put together specifically so that it could be used as a manual. It contains not only the information that is in the DVDs and the CD in written form, but it also contains very specific instructions to help you walk through every aspect of remote viewing. Taken together, the 10 DVDs and the 5 CDs and the book will give you the finest course in remote viewing that is available today.